Have you ever wanted to fuse two Pokemon together? Well, on this Pixelmon server, you can. There are over 40 custom fusible Pokemon, and in this video, we're going to be spending 100 days fusing just these fusion Pokemon, so that I can become one of the strongest trainers on the server, because no joke, these fusion Pokemon are way too overpowered. But in order to master the capabilities of these monsters, I would need to prove myself by completing these 5 goals. First, I'd need to gather up a strong team of level 100 fused Pokemon, as well as fuse 10 Pokemon in total, including a fusion between 2 legendary Pokemon, a fusion between 2 shinies to create a shiny fusion, as well as a fusion with Pumpkaboo, since it's my favorite Pokemon. Will I be able to complete these goals before I run out of time? Watch till the end to find out. Also, make sure to subscribe because at 8,000 subscribers, I'll spend 100 days using only Generation 9 Pokemon. Without further ado, I logged onto the Groudon server, only to spawn with a shiny Froakie by my side. I don't remember ever playing on the server, and apparently I made no progress whatsoever, so I decided to continue on with Froakie. Now in order to fuse 2 Pokemon together, I need a fusion key, and luckily the staff gave me 10 fusion keys to use in this video. Anyways, I spent these few days finding all 25 treasure chests scattered around spawn. You see, they give me rare items like a Master Ball or even a piece of paper that will allow me to redeem any non-legendary Pokemon I want. Once I found all of the treasure chests, I was given a fusion shard as my reward, but most importantly, I realized I could actually already make a fusion. Since I had Froakie as my starter, I used the EXP candies I got from the chests to evolve it into a Greninja. Then I used this paper to add Dragapult to my team. And now it was time to fuse both Greninja and Dragapult to make the fusion known as Dragon Ninja. And I've gotta say that it looks incredible. But now that we had a fusion Pokemon, we could finally step foot into the wild and actually begin our adventure. Eventually, I did find a good little place to build a house, so I started to clear out the area and began construction of my beautiful home. Okay, maybe it doesn't look that good, but that's alright, I'll be spending most of my time in the wild anyways. It was finally time to level up Dragon Ninja to level 100, and you might be asking why. Well, did you know that on this server, when a fusion Pokemon reaches level 100, it learns a custom move? For example, Dragon Ninja learned the move Draconic Kunai. It's like Greninja's Water Shuriken, but it's a Dragon type move and will never miss its target. So yes, fusion Pokemon are broken. Anyways, I looked at the GTS and saw a Charizard and an Aggron right next to each other. They were basically begging to be fused, so I bought them both, then went on to fuse them together to create Agrizard. But wait, there's more. I saw an Eternatus on the GTS. Now Eternatus is super rare, and I don't think I've ever seen one other than playing Sword and Shield. So I knew this was my chance to buy it before anyone else. The most efficient money making method on the server is defeating boss Pokemon, then selling their drops to the Pokemart for money in return. And after I did this for a while, I had enough money to actually buy Eternatus. Now you might be wondering, what does Eternatus actually fuse with? Well, Eternatus can actually fuse with the god of all Pokemon, Arceus. This would allow me to complete my goal of fusing 2 legendary Pokemon together. But Ninten, don't you know Arceus is a mythical type? Anyways, I got myself into the Ultra Space Dimension in order to find some Arceus plates. And trust me, I looked everywhere, to the point that I reached the edge of the world. I ended up coming back home with a row of Z crystals and around 7 different type plates. But that wasn't it. I was suddenly invited to visit Agent Psyduck's base, and he had fusion Pokemon himself, as well as an entire collection of very rare and valuable Pokemon items. Like, this dude really flexed by having all of the Arceus plates on display. He kindly gave me several Pumpkaboos, including one with this Anubis skin, which kinda looks horrifying, but in a cool way. But eventually I struck a deal with him and bought 2 Arceus plates off of him. But that wasn't all. Agent Psyduck, Walter White? Wanted to avenge my late rival Shiny Hunter, and prove he had what it takes to defeat me on day 99. So I guess I now had a new rival, and also another goal to add onto our list, which is to beat Walter White on day 99. Also, if I didn't make it clear enough, Walter White and Agent Psyduck are the same person. Anyways, moving on. I looked through all the possible fusions I could get, and once I took note of a few, I went on to travel by sea, on land, and even in the air. Surprisingly, I did find some random person in the middle of nowhere, but sadly I didn't find any actual fusible Pokemon until I was suddenly invited to Tom's base, where he handed me a Cosmoem for free? I was pretty surprised until I did the command /battletop and saw that Tom was literally the richest dude on the entire server. Anyways, I spent some time with these two bozos until the sun set so that I could evolve Cosmom at night, so that it will evolve into a Lunala instead of a Solgaleo. Now I had to hunt for a Ghastly, and luckily they're easy to find when it's nighttime. I leveled it up till it evolved into a Haunter, but now I needed it to become a Gengar in order to fuse with Lunala. Sadly, I had no friends online, or just in general, so I went into the boss tower to defeat boss Pokemon until I finally got the Link Cable Stone, an evolution item that allows tradable Pokemon to evolve without needing to trade. Man, this mod really knows their player base. I ended up putting both Lunala and Gengar into the fusion machine to create Lunara. And oh my god, is it huge! After that, I bought a stack of rare candies and used it to level up Agrizard to level 100, so that he could learn the move Gigaton Volcano. It's like Flare Blitz, but will always burn the opposing Pokemon. Then I used the rest of the rare candies to get Lunara to learn the move Eternal Damnation, a base 120 power ghost type move that also drains the opposing Pokemon's health by 10% for 4 turns. Yeah, this just proves that fusion Pokemon are really broken. On day 19, I bought a Bulbasaur on GTS since its spawn rate is extremely rare, and continued to train it up all the way till it became a Venusaur. Now I needed to get a Hydreigon so that they could fuse together. Luckily I was near a mountain biome earlier where they spawn at, but I also managed to find several other Pokemon that could potentially fuse in the future. Thankfully the wait wasn't too long and I did end up finding a Dino, but once I fed it enough rare candies for it to evolve, I spotted a Xylos right behind it. So I ended up catching it because there wasn't just one, but actually 2 fusions that require Hydreigon. So once I got Xylos to evolve into Hydreigon, I headed back to the fusion machine so that I could create the fusion Hydrosaur. It looks a bit goofy, but still super cool. But it wasn't over just yet. I had another Xylos to evolve, and this one actually fuses with my favorite Pokemon Pumpkaboo. The fusion is called Hydrogeist, and it is by far my favorite looking fusion we've made so far. Please let me know down in the comments which fusion is your favorite in this video, because this is mine by a long shot. Once I was done fusing, I went back to the training area to evolve all of the Pokemon I caught in the mountains, as I needed them to be fully evolved in order to become potential fusions in the future. Sadly, I still needed more Pokemon if I wanted to create more fusions, so I went off and searched far and wide for fusible Pokemon everywhere, but only ended up catching a wild shiny Houndour, which is still pretty cool, but kinda bad since I cannot fuse it with anything, therefore I just can't use it. I eventually met up with Agent Psyduck in the woods, where he of course had to show off his rare Pokemon, but also had a spare plate which I was able to buy off of him. Suddenly, out of nowhere, I was caught off guard. Someone had placed 5 different Arceus plates on GTS, and since I just bought a plate off of Agent Psyduck, I had no more money left, and had to grind in the boss tower, and fast too because I didn't want anyone else to buy them. Sadly, I was only able to snag the insect plate off of the GTS before my internet crashed, and I couldn't play for a couple of hours. But once I did come back online, I was warped into the Ultra Space thanks to Bunny, and continued my hunt for the type plates as I had 13 in total back at my base, and only needed a few more to summon Arceus. While I was in Ultra Space, I found a Pheromosa which I wouldn't be able to use since it can't fuse with anything, but also the fact that I accidentally killed it might have also played a role. Anyways, I went around hunting for more plates. I did a raid 2, and eventually found another Pheromosa, which I accidentally killed. I mean, can you blame me? Just look at their defense stat. Moving on, I ended up catching 2 very cool looking Paradox Pokemon that are actually server exclusives. So if you want to find one of your own, here's a server IP. But now that it was day 43, I decided to go back home with all of these plates and Z crystals I found, just hoping I had enough for Arceus. But luckily I had more than enough plates to summon Arceus. So I grabbed my 17 plates and placed them into the Arc Chalice to receive the Azure Flute, and then used that to summon the god of all Pokemon, Arceus. One Master Ball later, it was finally time to fuse both Arceus and Eternatus together to create the fusion Arcernatus. This might be one of the coolest and strongest fusion Pokemon in the entire game, but this fusion also meant that we had a full team of fused Pokemon. All that was left was to get them to level 100 so that they could all learn their signature moves. Hydrogeist learned Tri-Beam Cannon, basically a grass type Hyper Beam with a base power of 160. Arcernatus learned Divine Depletion, a 130 base power poison move that heals me 40% of the damage dealt. And lastly, Hydrogeist learned Ghoul's Nightmare, a base 80 ghost type move that lowers the opponent's special defense by 1. Now that my whole team is level 100, it was time to finish off the next task on this list, which is to get a fusion between 2 shiny Pokemon. Now remember, the odds of finding a shiny in the wild is 1 in 4096, so it's pretty rare to find one, but still very much doable as we did find a shiny Houndour just a few days ago. So I went on a hunt for shiny Pokemon in the wild. This isn't great as I can't choose which shinies to get. For example, this shiny Murkrow is cool but cannot fuse with anything, but this shiny Magikarp can fuse. But sadly it fuses with Giratina, and getting a shiny Giratina just seems extremely unlikely. Eventually I bump into Agent Psyduck again, who in tradition kept flexing on me with a shiny Lapras and Torterra, 2 shiny Pokemon that can actually fuse together. I was really desperate for those two, so I tried to strike deals with him, even giving him all the extra Arceus plates I had, just so I wouldn't have to suffer shiny hunting forever, which he wasn't interested in. There was one thing however that struck his interest, and that was the Paradox Dragapult I caught earlier, so I traded it to him for both shiny Lapras and Torterra, and of course before I could leave, he flexes his entire Paradox Pokemon collection. But this meant I finally had the necessary Pokemon, and fused them together to create Laprera. Now keep in mind, this is what a regular Laprera looks like, and I gotta say, I really like this shiny fusion. Once I saw Darkrai on the GTS, I knew I had to buy it since Darkrai is my favorite mythical Pokemon. So I spent a lot of time grinding in the boss tower just so I could buy it for a potential fusion. I did also find a glitch had spawned in the process. I wanted to include it because I thought it was a bit silly that crates were just in the sky. After a lot of grinding later, I was finally able to buy Darkrai. Initially, I was planning to fuse it with Delphox, until I saw that Darkrai could actually fuse with Gardevoir. Look, I swear I'm not down bad. It just looks better, okay? So I teleported in the wild and searched for a Ralts, and I gotta say, this hunt took forever. I was asking people in chat, looking through all the biomes. I even offered my Celebi for a Ralts because I was too damn desperate. But I was eventually given a Ralts by none other than Agent Psyduck. Once I finished up my raid, I placed the egg into my party and started running around, even using these speed pads to help speed up the process, and eventually it did hatch. I spent a day in the level grinder so that I could evolve my Ralts into Gardevoir. Now I could finally fuse both Darkrai and Gardevoir together, to get the fusion known as Gardevoir. I might need some alone time with her. Would you look at that, I bought an orb from the GTS. Time to fill it up so that it could become a Moltres. Anyways, all I did for this day was beat up some Pokemon to fill up the orb, until a server-wide event was about to start. That's right, it was Pictionary night. The event organizer would build something on the canvas and we'd basically have to guess what it is. For the first drawing, I guessed Castform's Rainform, which honestly, it was looking like I was gonna win, until they decided to give it a hat. At this point I was like, bro, they gotta be trolling, man. Well, I was wrong, it was actually a Probopass. But that's alright, we still had 2 more rounds to go. I guess Mewtwo on the next one because it just looked like they were building Mewtwo's body. But of course, it wasn't Mewtwo. It was a Litwick. The final round started, and I really wanted to win. At first I guessed Breezel because of its face, which I then changed to Mimikyu and finally Timber once I saw those pink veins. I waited in anticipation until I saw that I had won. I ended up getting a nice little Master Ball as my 3rd place prize. Now let's continue where we left off by using this filled up orb of Fiery Souls to summon Moltres. Okay, I'll be honest. I know you need a Galarian Moltres to fuse with Lucario to get the fusion Lucatress, but I thought maybe, just maybe, I could cheat the system and use a regular Moltres. Well, it didn't work, but that's alright because Moltres could still fuse with Entei, so it wasn't all for nothing. However, I did see a Celesteela on the GTS. After doing more boss tower grinding, I bought Celesteela off the GTS, and then went back home to hunt for a Weedle. Eventually I found one and trained it up till it became a Beedrill, so that I could fuse it together with Celesteela to create Bellastila. Afterwards, I traveled to a dark forest biome where I actually found a shiny Greedent, but this wasn't what I wanted. I had to wait till the sun was set so that I could actually hunt this Pokemon. Not too long after, I found Phantump and Mimikyu chilling in the woods, the 2 exact Pokemon I needed to form the fusion Pokemon known as Phantomime. I'll be honest, this might be the weakest Pokemon fusion we've caught so far, but getting this fusion was important as it was our 10th fusion, meaning we finished all of the goals. All that was left was to face off against Agent Psyduck on day 99. But we did sort of finish all the goals, and just like last time, I too wanted to build another trophy to commemorate our achievements. It took a while to get the materials, but here it is. Oh, you thought that was it? Well, look again. A trophy immortalizing what we've accomplished in this video. I also placed a fusion shard in the item frame here, so now this trophy is actually worth something. To prepare for the final battle, I formed a team of 6 fused Pokemon, which I was sure would be enough to defeat Agent Psyduck. I had to practice with my team, so who better than the Sired NPC? Okay, well I ended up losing. But still, I battled trainers all over Spawn to really understand how to use my fused Pokemon. And once I had enough practice, I faced off against the first gym leader who specialized in grass types. Surprisingly, the gym was way easier than I thought it would be. Maybe I overestimated the gym leaders. Nope, never mind. I lost to the second one. I had to wait 6 hours to rebattle the gym leader. So I decided on using that time to build a huge arena where the final battle would take place in. It took me a long time, but eventually, the arena was built. Okay, it does look pretty ugly, but hey, I built this giant skull to make the arena look less ugly. Okay, the skull looks ugly too. But hey, another event was starting, and this time it was musical chairs. Music would play in the background, and once it stopped, you'd have to sit on a chair, otherwise you lose. I got 3rd place, which doesn't give you any prize, but sadly lost to none other than Agent Psyduck. Oh, I knew I wanted my revenge. I continued gaining more battle experience by defeating more gym leaders. I fought against the second gym leader again, and surprisingly won with relative ease. The third gym leader wasn't too much of a hassle either, but by the time I beat him, the server was actually about to restart, so luckily I defeated him fast enough. The 4th gym leader specialized in ground types, and I started to worry when Greninja died. But that's okay, we had Hydrasaur ready to get the win for us. Sadly, when I wanted to battle more gym leaders, I wasn't allowed to bring along my fusion Pokemon, so I guess I got all the gym badges I could get on this adventure. Since there wasn't much time left till the battle, I wanted to go to the Ultra Space until somehow multiple people were at my base. We just kinda goofed around, took some pics. All in all, the people on the server were super nice to hang out with. I also decided to fish for Ash Greninja. I honestly just followed this outdated guide on how to do it. I don't think I did it right, but I did end up catching a Feebas and a Frogadier. At least I didn't go home empty-handed. But now, it was day 99. It was finally time to have our first and final battle together. Agent Psyduck, one of the server's finest collectors, musical chair champion, and a full-time show-off, who would go up against me and my history of 100-day challenges. The battle started with me sending out Dragoninja against his Smeargle. I started off by Dragon Dancing only to fall asleep that same turn. Once I saw his Smeargle set up, I got a bit scared. It continued to Shell Smash until finally Dragoninja woke up and took out Smeargle with a Draconic Kunai. He really tried to do something by sending out a shiny Dragoninja. It ended up being no match for my stat boosted Dragoninja, who outsped it. Next he sent out Diancie, and I'll be honest, I could have killed it with Dragoninja, but like an idiot, I used a dragon type move against a fairy type. I can't believe I did that, but that's alright. We needed to share the spotlight anyways, of course. So I sent out Gardevoir to deal with Diancie, and then used its signature move Fairy's Dark Descent to one-shot his shiny Mewtwo. I was afraid when a Galarian Darmanitan came out with the name BP, but was no match for my Agrizard's Gigaton Volcano. Agent Psyduck's last Pokemon was a Greninja that used Dig against my Agrizard. I appropriately countered by essentially getting a free switch into Lunara. Once I weakened it with Phantom Force, I went in for a Sucker Punch and ended up winning the battle. I had finally completed all of my goals, but I didn't feel satisfied just yet. There was one more thing I had to do. That's right, I found another Pheromosa. I was gonna catch this to redeem myself for killing the other two earlier, until someone else needed it for their Pokedex. I gave in and allowed them to catch Pheromosa. Oh, hey, they sent it to me. I guess now I feel satisfied. Anyways, remember to subscribe for more Pixelmon videos, and I'll see you guys later. Bye!